3? Think you did, Robbie?
Here, I'll add it up.
Add it up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie. This is Kyle. Hey, Kyle.
Hey.
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 How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah, we're back. It's been a while, but we are back and better than ever, and we're happy.
They're back. But this time, they're better than ever.
Yes.
Just want to get that.
Yeah, you go for it. But no, we're excited to be back with a new episode, and very excited about this episode because it's an episode. No, I'm just kidding.
Just because of the episode,
Just because of the episode. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the build up.
All right, just roll the credits, guys. We don't have to. We just wanted to just throw it up.
Over. Goodbye. No, we are very excited for tonight's episode because this past weekend, Kyle and I made our annual excursion down south, not to Florida, but to good old Cape Cod.
You got that south.
Yeah. We went down to Cape Cod for a day trip this past Saturday, or a couple Saturdays ago. Sorry, it was a week ago Saturday. But yeah, it was just a really fun time as always, and the thing about this trip, like with all of our other Cape trips, there definitely were sports-related elements to it that we're going to talk about. We did some mini golfing, and we took in a Cape Cod League baseball game between Katua and Hyannis. So, and we also drove through Armageddon trying to get home. It felt like
that was fun.
But yeah, so Kyle, let's get into it. Another fun Cape trip and the history of yours and my Cape trips. Just sort of take it away with your thoughts about the day in general, whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, it was just a really nice day trip. Like we just even like getting down there and getting back wasn't honestly too bad traffic wise, at least. We'll get into the getting back a little more into that later on the episode, but aside from all that craziness, no, it actually was really, really nice, and the fact that we were really lucky to have the weather that we had. I was just like floored. I thought I was a little worried because like I remember before we left, we were kind of we were thinking it was gonna rain. And we're like, okay, well we'll still make the best of it. And by the time we got down there, it was like sunny. It was just It was amazing.
No, the entire day weather wise down there was picture perfect. I mean, it wasn't too warm. It was sunny. It was just a nice Cape day. I know back here up north, it was a bit more rainy during the day, I was told. So we definitely lucked out.
Yeah, we like dodged all that.
That's for sure. Yeah, we definitely, like I said, we picked the right day and time frame to go, for sure. But yeah, I want to sort of go chronologically here because at the start of our trip down there, after I know we had some lunch at Pizza Barbone, which by the way, if you're ever down in Hyannis, definitely would recommend Pizza Barbone. Great.
Yeah, it's right on Main Street too.
Right on Main Street. Got great pizza, salads, like just a whole bunch of good stuff. So definitely would suggest you guys try it out if you ever get the chance to go down there. So after lunch, we did do our first sort of sports-related activity, and that was mini golf. And it was a very, very fun mini golf outing, as always. So yeah, Kyle, why don't you sort of tell the people about it?
No, it was it was fun. It was Robbie versus Kyle. Kyle versus Robbie, however you guys want to look at it. And,
Kyle speaking in third person for whatever reason.
Robbie versus me, I should say. Or me versus Robbie, yeah. I don't know why that was random. Anyways.
Yeah. All good.
So, third person aside, it was a hell of an awesome match. and it was pretty close actually. It was kind of like back and forth a bit, as especially in the first half. I think there was like one point where I kind of took the lead for a bit, but then
you were up early, like by like a few strokes. You're up by like 3 or 4 strokes, like early on. So
yeah, it was it was a pretty okay start for me, but then but then I remember you actually you pulled through at the very end, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think I ended up winning by like 1 stroke.
I want to say it was I thought that was 2.
Oh, was it 2? I don't remember. It was.
I know we don't have the exact details.
Yeah, we threw away the scorecard. I know I won, but other than that, I'm a little sketchy on the details. But it is what it is.
It was fun. Regardless, it was great. We went to this place called Lightning Falls, and it's one of the many
go-to mini golf place on the Cape. Like if you've watched some of our past Cape episodes, you've seen footage from this place many a time because it's a place we always like to go to. And
it's good.
I do have to say this. I do have to sort of bring up one sort of funnier moment that happened on the course. And you'll appreciate this because Kyle kind of owes me in a sense because Kyle had the bright idea to attempt to hold his phone while trying to putt at the same time to try to get camera shots of him putting, and I kind of kindly suggested to him that maybe he should not do that, and so he actually listened to me, which is shocking. And Kyle, do you care to tell him what you did on that particular hole?
I got a hole in one.
Yeah. So score a point for Robbie, and just being smart. No, I'm just kidding. You're a very smart person.
Sometimes.
But I thought it was funny. Like literally, after I basically tell you to stop and don't do that, you literally stick a hole in one because of it. So
yeah, I was definitely called out, and rightfully so. And after that, I was like, yeah, okay, Rob, you win this time. You're right. I guess you were right. Right. Sorry.
I just love the fact you do that after you said I was right already, 2 different times.
But no, it was fun. It was a good match.
It was awesome. It was an awesome experience and very busy. Lightning Falls. Definitely a lot of people there. We kind of had to wait behind a couple of groups, but they moved pretty quickly, all things considered. So
it was definitely happening. People were just kind of there having a good time.
People are having a great time. I was kind of bummed because I last year I sunk a hole in one on the 18th hole, but this year was no such luck. No, neither one of us got a hole in one on the 18th.
Yeah, the later holes are pretty tricky, especially I think one of the hardest ones there. Oh
god, that 17th hole where really you have to hit it around the sand and then all that good
freaking
stuff.
Rock picks everywhere. It's
but there's also that one. There's also one where it's not the 17th, but earlier where there's an incline, so you have to hit perfectly to get in, or else it rolls back down.
Yeah, you have to hit at the exact right force and also kind of ricochet angle as well.
Yeah.
Because you can try to curve it up. For me, it's always hard to curve it up, so I always find the best way for me, at least, is to try to just hit it and then have it bounce off the side to get up there, to get up the hill. But it's hard either way you try. So.
Yeah, it was. It's a tricky hole, but no, like we said, it was a fun outing, a fun mini golf outing, and a fun way to sort of start our afternoon down on the Cape, and then we sort of moved on from there after some other fun activities. I know we went to our favorite ice cream spot, a little Four Seas ice cream, which was great.
Oh, awesome!
And then we actually this is kind of sports related, more like exercise related, but kind of actually went and walked part of the Cape Cod Rail Trail, sort of from in sort of the Yarmouth Hyannis area, and that was fun. I know you've walked it before. You've been on it.
Actually,
you biked it before.
Yeah, I biked it.
I've never been on it though. I thought it was a really cool trail to experience.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a really long trail. It actually goes, apparently it goes all the way up to Provincetown.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know where on the Cape it starts, per se.
I feel like it's I've heard it's May even be like as far as like Wareham or something like that.
Wareham. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a long trail.
It's basically like a length of the Cape. Yeah, like rail trail. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it's cool because so the stretch that we walked, it was nice because we saw kind of like some of these really nice kind of like golf courses.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can
and
see
a lot
like
of
the
woods.
people out and about. And yes, a lot of woods. We did have to get through some woods, and it kind of a little bit reminded me of that trail that we went to kind of like in the Needham area, the Kendrick Street one.
Yes.
A little bit of that it had, but also a little bit of like the Cotitua Rail Trail, which we actually talked about in one of the previous episodes about like when we talked about some of our favorite places to walk.
Right.
It's a lot like the Cotitua Rail Trail where they got kind of like bridges over like busy streets and stuff like that.
But I like the fact that like for that like kind of like with the Cotitua Rail Trail.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, I know, right? That the trail itself is like concrete, which I really like, because then you don't have to worry about like tripping over things like some of the other trails we've done, which are like dirt trails or like whatever. Like it's a little bit more tricky, like footing wise, but like the concrete ones are nice because it's like it's defined, and also you like it's very easy to walk the trail when
and
you're
better
on
for
concrete.
biking.
Well, that too, yeah, obviously, yeah. But no, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun to sort of experience it, and I think in the future we're definitely going to try to walk other portions of that rail trail again, and really get some longer walks in on the trail.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Down the road, which will be fun.
Yeah, because it was cool. Because when I went there, the last time I went there when I biked, I went there actually with our good friend Jerome, and we ended up biking actually all the way to Brewster.
Oh yeah, that's what you told me about that.
Brewster, or what was I thinking of? Was it Brewster? No, not Brewster. What's it called? Harwich. I think it was Harwich actually.
Okay.
So not super far. But yeah, we end up. So it was pretty cool. So we biked through a few of the different Cape towns, and it's just so scenic and like so nice. And you get the kind of the sea breeze smell and everything. So it's really cool.
Excellent. Yeah. No, I definitely. The part that we went on definitely was very enjoyable. So
yes,
I definitely look forward to exploring more of it down the road.
Definitely.
And then to sort of end off of our afternoon, which is something we always try to do when we're down on the Cape, is we took in a Cape Cod League baseball game. It was Cotuit versus Hyannis in Cotuit, and yeah, just a really awesome game. Cotuit ended up winning.
Yep.
And by the way, shout out to both those teams, because both those teams ended up making the playoffs for the Cape League. Cotuit unfortunately saw their season end in the first round, but Hyannis is currently playing in the divisional finals.
Nice.
So big congratulations to them, and I kind of hope that they take home the title. The whole thing, that'd be pretty wild to see
really cool, actually,
the Harbor Hawks take it all the way. But just to really listen, we've been to Cotuit many a time for games, and this time was, as always, very fun. Great crowd, great atmosphere, great baseball. Just everything about it was the picturesque sort of end to our day. I think that's a part of like why I was so glad that the weather held up, because I was like really nervous, that's one of the things like I always enjoy about our Cape trips is going to Cape Cod League games, and so the prospect of like that we were gonna possibly not have a game to go to was kind of disappointing. But like when I saw that the weather like was good all the way through, I was like, yes, like it was.
Yeah, we were just like
it was ideal for it, so I was very happy. But yeah,
that was nice.
Kyle, your thoughts on the Kettleers versus the Harbor Hawks and just that whole experience?
I mean, hits were had. It was a really great experience. Just people really were, like you said, it was just a really good vibe. Like people showed up, and there was actually, honestly, it was actually one of the more crowded games I've been to in recent memory. Like people were really into this game, and it must have been like a big deal, maybe because it was like against Hyannis, because they're one of the
Well, they're both
top teams
they're
there.
both
So
were like up the upper echelon of the standings too, which
makes
which
sense.
definitely was it was just an exciting matchup of two talented teams.
Yeah, it was cool. It was just nice there, and they and one of the things I really like about that field too is that they when you go to like the when you go to the food stand there, they actually have clam chowder, and it's pretty good too. So if you want to like a pretty good solid like kind of clam chowder, and honestly the food's not even like that expensive too. We're not talking about like Fenway prices or anything
God,
here,
no,
so
yeah.
you guys can actually for the most part afford the food, I'd say. So
Yeah, no, it was it's very very reasonably priced for any Cape Cod League game you go to, but yeah, in particular that one, and very good food as well. So very enjoyable on that front.
Yeah, no, it was just great, and yeah, we pretty much we especially when we ended the trip too, like we had a really nice kind of drive through the Cape, and by the time we got down, I swear it felt like if you guys ever played like Legend of Zelda, you ever been like to like where Ganon's castle is when it gets like super cloudy. It was like that's what it was. Like we were just driving down, it just was like light, 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 and then dark, 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 pitch black. What?
Yeah, I
It's
think
crazy.
that's kind of a good way to sort of wrap up the day, is talking about the weather that we drove through. But I've very rarely seen a sky that dark coming back. It wasn't the fact that it was nighttime. Literally, this was like thunderstorm, like severe thunderstorm, like pitch blackness, like almost you would see. And that's I kept like an eye to my phone just in case, because like it was the type of blackness you would see like in like on the news or in like in a movie, like when there's like a tornado or something like that. It was like that dark, and there actually ended up being like a tornado warning like further down south from us, like after we'd gone home. But and then once it started raining, it like started gushing rain, and it was crazy because we kind of got off the highway in Needham and kind of cut through the back roads of Needham to get home, and like we kept running into like ponding and flood, a little bit of like minor street flooding, and like it was something else. It was really something else.
I thought my car was gonna have to have I thought I was gonna have to install like underwater features like submarine
Yeah, scuba dive, scuba diving or whatever. Yeah,
just crazy. It was just like whoa.
yeah.
But it was kind of cool like when we went through the water sometimes because it just you could see the water like just all these epic like waves that we were making and stuff like that. But it was just crazy. I'm like, it was to the point where we even had to like pull off of the highway and go kind of like in through one of the towns because it was just that hard to actually like see on the road.
Yeah.
So we just had to.
We took it nice and slow, nice and careful.
Yeah, and it was more well lit too. I think that was the kind of the vibe there. That was the plan. So
yeah, no, it was wow, but we made it home safely, which is always important. So, as evidenced by the fact that we're here, and yeah, overall, like I said, it was just a really fun day, and definitely adds to the fun that we've had during our Cape trips throughout the year. So, already looking forward to the next one.
Yes, easily.
So. Definitely a good time was had by all, Kyle.
Definitely. Good time had, and as well, hits were also had. I said that joke, sorry. Okay, I'm being redundant.
We let the good times roll.
Yes.
But yeah, so that wraps up that portion of our episode. So now I guess it's time to move to the sort of end portion of our episode with my final thought and the Sue's reviews. I guess I'll start with my final thought for the evening, which I'll be honest, I did not put a whole lot of thought into my final thought tonight.
The Kyle approach.
Yes.
There you go.
No, I do want to, speaking of baseball, I do want to shout out the Massachusetts State Williamsport champions, the Canton Little Leaguers. They last weekend captured 2 weekends ago, captured the state title with a win over Barnstable, and now are currently playing in the New England Regionals in Bristol, Connecticut. So just wanted to wish them continued good luck. They play an elimination game tomorrow against New Hampshire, and that they win that, they go to the regional finals for a chance to go to the Little League World Series. So I just wanted to wish the Canton team, who I've gotten to see play in person a couple times this year, nothing but the best. And that's pretty much all I got for tonight's final thought. So now I'm going to turn it over to the segment that everybody I think finds even more riveting, the Sue's Reviews, featuring, well, the Sues. So Kyle, take it away.
So for today's Sue's Reviews, I was going to actually focus on the sensation that is sweeping the nation, and that is the double feature of Barbenheimer that, everyone's just so taken aback by. And I actually got the pleasure the other week to see both movies, and, just really excited to say I really loved both movies, Now, here's the thing. Like, we're comparing apples and oranges here, guys. So you can't really say that, like, they're very, like, different movies when you really look at it. Like, Barbie is more of a comedy, whereas Oppenheimer is more of kind of a dramatic movie with very, like, both movies I thought visually were really great. So you know what? I'll just start with the first one I saw, Oppenheimer. It starred Cillian Murphy playing, the title role of Oppenheimer, the guy who was famous for developing the nuclear bomb along with his team of scientists. And you get to meet kind of all those people. You get to see how the process was all done. And, the movie, as you could tell, the movie was directed by Christopher Nolan. And it did feel like a Christopher Nolan movie, but it felt like one of his better movies. Like, it felt like this might actually be, I think, one of my all-time favorites of his. And he's a really good director. He's one of the few, like, modern kind of, I feel like, auteurs that's still around. And the nice thing about Oppenheimer was, despite the fact that it was, I think I had about a 3 hour and 20 minute runtime, which I know can put off a lot of people. But I will say it did not feel like that long. The movie was very briskly edited, and you really kind of got wrapped up with everyone's really incredible performance, and especially Cillian Murphy, who just knocked it out of the park. He was so amazing as the title character, and you just kind of see how everything played out with the development of the nuclear bomb, and just kind of how his life played out as well. And I thought the movie did a really great job at kind of showing all of that and just kind of telling a really unique and very deep story. And I thought the visuals were great. As always, like, I feel like Christopher Nolan's a really great visual director. But this one really just felt extra special. Like, it's one of those movies where I think you guys really, really need to see it in the theaters, whether you guys see it on like a 70 millimeter screen or if you just go see it in IMAX. You need to see it on a really big screen, because I feel like that's probably the best way to watch the movie. I mean, granted, you probably could wait till it comes out, and it's still very watchable, I can imagine, on the smaller screen. But if you really want to experience it at its fullest, I really highly recommend watching it on a big screen. So yeah, definitely recommend Oppenheimer. Really, really fantastic movie. I was blown away. Pun intended. And which, leads us to the next movie, Barbie, which is, like I said, a completely different movie from Oppenheimer. Not nearly as dark, and serious. Definitely much more of a comedy, very silly. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a fan of the actual Barbie-like doll to appreciate the movie. The movie was actually made for Barbie fans and non-fans alike. And that was kind of a very interesting approach, because not many movies do that. You have movies like Transformers, Marvel, stuff like that. They try to appeal to the fans, mainly. But here, their focus was just to make a really good comedy, and I think they really succeeded at that. I loved Margot Robbie as Barbie. I thought she was very endearing, and just kind of seeing her in Barbie Land, it was just really was really captivating. Like, the way they made Barbie Land look, was just really cool. It was just very unique and very different from, other movies of the that try to kind of do that kind of thing. And you really did get kind of like lost in the visuals there too, but for a completely different reason, obviously, than like Oppenheimer. But yeah, no, she was really funny, and she played the role with a lot of heart, and that's what I really liked about it. And you kind of see Barbie's journey throughout the movie, and it actually was a pretty cool story, just overall. And you kind of see her interacting with the real world, and kind of like how, and just those scenes in general, in my opinion, were actually the best scenes of the movie. They were just so well done, and just kind of seeing her go from her plastic doll, everything's perfect kind of world into the modern world. And it kind of reminded me, it even had some like reflections a little bit of like the original Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and kind of how he's like a man who he's like the best of like humanity, but when you see him kind of like juxtaposed in that modern day setting, it was just kind of like, I don't know, like you see kind of like it's just that's kind of how the vibe I got a little bit from this movie, which I thought was cool, which I thought was really cool. So also Ryan Gosling as Ken nailed it. He was so funny. He had some good dance numbers with some of the other guys who played Ken too, like Simu Liu. And no, it's just it's a great movie. I thought it had a really good message. Sometimes the message was hammered a little too deep at times. Like we were like, okay, we get it. They kind of repeated the message over and over here and there. But honestly, aside from that, I thought the movie was fantastic. I think that's another movie you should see in theaters. And just like it's a great time. Whether you're a fan of Barbie or not, just go see it. It's a funny movie. There were so many scenes that made me laugh out loud, and Will Ferrell's in the movie too, so that's always a plus.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about. I keep forgetting that Will Ferrell was in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very meta. Like he actually plays like the owner of Mattel, like the current CEO
of
Mattel. So.
That's right. Yeah. No, I now that you mentioned that, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does have a little bit of that kind of Will Ferrell kind of humor at times too, but it was directed actually by Greta Gerwig, who also did another great movie, Lady Bird, which that's another movie you guys should definitely check out. She's a really fantastic director. She's done kind of more like drama, comedies, kind of like that mix, but this one kind of leans a little more towards straight up comedy, and I think it really works for it. So there you go, Barbenheimer, watch it.
But you don't need to watch it because Kyle just really gave you a good idea of it right there. So no, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Kyle, for that.
I should have had a minor spoiler.
Thank you, Kyle. No, thank you, Kyle, for that riveting review of the two movies that are sweeping the nation right now. It seems like so.
Yeah, they beat out freaking Indiana Jones and like any other superhero movie that came out this summer. So that says a lot.
That is mind blowing. Yeah, but no, thank you, Kyle, as always, for that lovely edition of the Sue's Reviews. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And now that is going to wind down this edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Before we go, because I forgot to do so at the beginning, I just want to send a special shout out to our two sponsors, Zion Organizing and Wes Woodson. Definitely big supporters of this show, as well as Screen Time with Doug and Kyle and the Sports Blitz with Doug and myself. So thank you to both Zion Organizing and Wes Woodson for the support as always, and the continued support. And for this show, obviously you can find us right here on YouTube, but you can also find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. So please, definitely give us a like, give us a comment, ring the bell, all that good stuff. We would love to hear from you and just continue to have your support. So thank you as always. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Kyle, thank you as always. And until next time, like I said, he's Kyle, I'm Robbie. And we're signing off from the couch. And this has been another edition of On Couch Talking Sports. See you, everybody.
Robbie, what do you think of this cool trail?
It is it is amazing. I mean, just amazing.
Pretty nice.